I don't want this Sunday morning homily to sound like I ripped it from the pages of Fortune magazine or the Wall Street Journal, but it might. Recently, I read a fascinating history of a large, successful American company called Packard. And those of you in investment circles may be familiar with it. It's considered one of America's best run and most successful manufacturers. Packard was founded 125 years ago in Bellevue, Washington. They build and sell heavy-duty trucks around the world. And amazingly, they have produced a profit every year for the last 86 years in a row. Very good profits too. So, not surprisingly, the company founder became a very prosperous man back then through his efforts. He was a deeply Christian man, and thus he was interested in helping others. One day he learned about a serious ongoing problem in his community, that of recidivism, people being repeatedly returned to jail for criminal offenses, apparently never being reformed. For some people, they were sent to prison and they got in trouble as soon as they were out again. And as repeat offenders, they received almost no mercy from judges. Instead, they were dealt with justice, swift and sure and harsh justice. This was in the early 1900s. It was a very harsh period for people. So these people were returned to prison over and over again. For some, the prison system became merely a revolving door. Now, I think most wealthy people of that time would have written off these offenders as being hardened criminals who refused to change their ways and who deserved the punishments that they received. But this particular businessman from Packard decided he wanted to take a closer look into the problem to see if he could find out why it kept happening. And it ended up there was a simple explanation. Our Christian businessman discovered that most of the people returning to crime did so because they were destitute when they got out of prison. They were lacking even food and shelter, and of course, with a prison record, it was difficult to find a job. As he said to his friends, we release these poor people from jail without a dollar to their name, with no place to live, and with little hope of getting a job right away. And we tell them, you had better behave yourself or you're going back to jail. But with no money, no job, no prospects, no home, and no food, they have no choice but to return to crime. It's either that or starve. It's interesting, he didn't blame the lawbreakers. Instead, he felt compassion for them. And that's what struck me as I read this book. So he decided on his own to set up a monetary fund to provide a small amount of cash to each person upon their release from jail, something to tide them over until they found work. The money would take care of their basic needs and give them enough time to find a job and hopefully change the direction of their lives. He asked other well-to-do citizens, friends of his, to donate to the fund to help make it a larger and ongoing service. Not surprisingly, there were skeptics. Many of his wealthy friends felt that it was crazy to give money to people who had broken the law. They said it's almost like you're rewarding them. Many of them believed that the people would misuse the money, using it to buy drugs or alcohol or whatever. One rich friend said to him, you know, giving money willy-nilly to these vagrants, it's certain that you're going to end up giving some of it to people who are unworthy. The Packard executive looked at his friend in amazement and shouted, unworthy? Unworthy? Look, when it comes right down to it, none of us, not me, not you, not anyone, are truly worthy. So don't talk to me about someone being unworthy. I say, if a man is down on his luck, give him a helping hand. Well, this was radical thinking in the early 1900s, particularly among wealthy people. It's a harsh time when beliefs like his were rare, but it's something he deeply believed in, and he did what he could to help his fellow man. That's being a Christian. The very core of Christianity is the idea of helping others. As Jesus quietly said to a woman at the fountain after dismissing a crowd of angry men who were about to stone her to death for adultery, he said, "Is there no one left to condemn you? Then I do not condemn you either. Go and sin no more." Some people think that hanging the Ten Commandments on classroom walls is being a Christian. But let me tell you what I think about it. If, when you're standing before God, awaiting your judgment, all you can say about what you did to help your fellow man is that, well, I pinned up the Ten Commandments on some schoolroom walls, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go to hell, but you're at least going to get one hell of a scolding. I've always believed that Christianity should gain followers by attraction, not compulsion. My generation was probably the first to introduce the idea that an individual could choose their own religion rather than inheriting one from their parents or having it forced upon them by their schools or their communities or their government. I myself was raised in another faith, and attraction is what ultimately made me decide to become an Episcopalian. Someone asked me earlier today how long I've been coming here, and I believe it's 46 years. And I was not an Episcopalian when I first began attending here. But I came because I liked our church's message of welcome to everyone. As a youngster attending church with my family, the message that I heard and came to believe was that at my early age, I was already beyond redemption. That by age 14, it was already too late for me. I was going to go to hell. It was a pretty depressing view of life. But in this church, I learned that there is no red line that once crossed makes someone unworthy of salvation. In the last moments of his life, Jesus forgave a criminal's sins, a man who himself was only moments away from death. Jesus assured that sinner that he would, that day, be in paradise. That's some of the good news of Jesus Christ, that God doesn't find anyone unworthy. God does not judge us until after we die because he knows that a person can amend his life, that the prodigal son can return to the flock, that all can be well. Thank God for that. Amen.